I stepped foot on the Appalachian Trail in March of this year, early March, but it's something I've been wanting to do for several years. I've just been fascinated by it, fascinated by doing a through hike, and so I'm very grateful I finally got time off to do this. I've titled this show Ramen Bombs, Yellow Blazing, and Tramily. 3 terms that I had no idea what they meant before I started this journey. Hopefully you all will know what they mean by the end of it. So I've also put some frequently asked questions in this slideshow, so you're going to have to get a little bit more creative with your questions at the end. So one question, did you go alone? I did not start this trail alone. I started it with my friend Dandy, also known as Blaze. That is his trail name. He and I have been hiking together for about 3 years. He is a retired railroad worker. He lives in New Mexico. Very spiritual man. We get along for the most part. Every once in a while, well, when you spend 24/7 with a person, sometimes you have a little bit of a fighting over the stupidest things in the world. But for the most part, we have wonderful memories together. And I've also put some fun little multiple choice questions in here. For instance, what's their trail name? Trail names, here, I'm gonna do this. Trail names are nicknames that people come up with for each other. The Appalachian Trail is filled with people. So you come across so many people, and I think almost everyone in here can relate how difficult it is to remember names. So when you see 30, 40 hikers each day trying to remember names like Stacy, Andrea, Michael, and Richard, that gets very difficult. And so instead, what we do is we come up with names like Purple Shirt or Bubblegum Drops or something like that, something that helps us remember what they do. And the culture behind this is the tradition states that you don't just step on the trail and say, "You will call me Blaze." That's not the tradition. People break this tradition much more often nowadays, but typically somebody has to give you a trail name based on what you look like, what you do, or something that you've done. And you can choose to accept said trail name or choose not to, based on your comfort level. So let's see if you can guess this lovely woman's trail name based on this picture. So if you think this lovely woman, her name is Happy, raise your hand. All right. If you think it is Tree Goddess, raise your hand. If you think it is Ramen Mamen, raise your hand. And if you think it's Twiggy, raise your hand. All right. The correct answer, her name is Happy. Yes, she hugs trees all the time. She was part of my trail family, and she is still a very good friend of mine. She lives in St. Louis, and she is a Taekwondo instructor. She has a beautiful story, but we don't have time for it. Hopefully at some point she could visit, and she could also do a nerd night because she's a fascinating person. Let's talk a little bit about trail magic. This is part of the culture of the Appalachian Trail, and also just long trails in general that I find so wonderful and so fascinating. They know that through hikers are on long journeys and we're struggling. We're thirsty, we're hungry, we're tired, we need stuff. And so locals, usually it's locals, will leave food, drinks, gear. They'll do anything that they can to help us along our journey. You can see Blaze there on the right. He was very ecstatic to see this pile of beers just laying out there in the woods at 9 a.m. in the morning. I said, "Dude, really, you're gonna do that?" And he says, "I'm retired, I'm not working." And he says, "Plus, we need calories." And so you can see on the left, I chose to join him in a morning beer. So that's the beginning of our talk about trail magic. Churches, local businesses will put on free breakfasts, which is awesome. This place gave giant piles of bacon and free pancakes. I'm never going to forget that breakfast as long as I live. We were starving that morning. Not all of the trail magic is nutritionally sound. And honestly, after a while, you just don't care. Because again, you're hungry. You are hiking 8 hours a day, and you are burning calories, and your body needs food. And so anything you see in the woods, you just want it. And so I love this picture of me and Blaze. It just really shows me that I really did not care about nutrition after about a week in the woods. Former hikers, a lot of former hikers come back to offer trail magic to the thru hikers. These were hikers from 2019 who had set up a camp off the side of the trail and were making grilled cheese sandwiches for anybody who came by their way. And oh my gosh, it was wonderful. That was probably the best grilled cheese sandwich I'm ever going to have in my life. Because again, starving. We'll talk later about what you actually eat when you don't get trail magic, but it makes you so much more grateful for when you actually get a real piece of food. So in that picture, that's Happy out in front, that's Blaze behind her, that's me in the center, and the two hikers off to the side from 2019. Oh, this is a special place. Special place. Everybody kept telling me as I was going down the trail, watch out for the cookie lady. You gotta go to the cookie lady's place. Because you can see it looks like a place out of a fairy tale land. It doesn't look real, but I assure you this place is real. She lives in the middle of nowhere, off the side of the trail, and she bakes freshly made cookies every day, chocolate chip cookies, leaves them out on her porch for hikers to just walk up, grab a cookie, and she also leaves lemonade, and then you just get to wander around the property glancing at this bright green moss. And I don't know how she does that, but it's just, I seriously wasn't sure where I was. It seemed like I had wandered into fictional wonderland. Okay, some people get really creative with their trail magic. I was wandering, I got up really early and I see this tiny little bear off the side of the trail, and I thought, what did a kid drop a toy? And I looked behind it, and there's a single honey bun behind it. And I'm pretty sure what the person does, whoever's in charge of this trail magic, is the hiker takes the honey bun, and then at the end of the day, or maybe the beginning of the day, the person comes by and puts another single honey bun for whoever lucky hiker gets to find that honey bun. I did not take the honey bun, by the way. I left that for the next lucky hiker who found that little yellow bear. It doesn't have to be food or drinks, by the way. It can be in the form of rides, which are very handy if you need to get down from the trail, down from the mountains into town where you need to resupply your food. So that's always appreciated. You can hitchhike the entire Appalachian Trail if you want to, but that can get a little difficult at times, especially depending on your location. Which brings us to another frequently asked question. How do you get food on the Appalachian Trail? And that's an amusing little photo right there of me cutting an avocado with a blade that's an inch long. Because weight, you're really always concerned about how much weight you're carrying on your shoulders. The first step to getting food is you need a ride. You've got to get a ride from the trail into town. You're never that far from a town. Most towns are only 15 to a 30-minute drive. That's how close you are to civilization. Even though it feels like you're heavy in the wilderness, you're really not. And that's one thing that separates the Appalachian Trail from trails like the Pacific Crest Trail or the Continental Divide Trail. Continental Divide Trail is a much harder trail to hike because it's much more wildernessy. This is a famous shuttle driver by the name of Miss Janet. She actually services the entire Appalachian Trail, all 2,194 miles of it. It's she's pretty impressive. I was lucky to get a ride from her in Tennessee, I want to say. Okay, the backstory behind this, we just got bored. We got bored waiting for Miss Janet, and we were starving and thirsty, and we wanted to get into town, so we made this little meme, and we just kind of wondered, wow, what does it look like whenever through hikers start walking up to shuttle drivers? We probably look like zombies. Please, give us food, beer, give us now, please. So we made that silly meme while we were waiting. You get bored. So first thing, whenever you get into town, you just want to go to a restaurant. You are dying for real food. Despite all the trail magic, real food is your first priority. You can see how happy Blaze is here to just have a tiny stack of pancakes, and it's amazing. I even had the patience to take this photo because I want to take the pancakes away from him. This is where you go from feeling like celebrity athlete, which I am not a celebrity and I don't consider myself an athlete, but you feel like it because all these people, the trail angels and section hikers, are treating you like one. Oh my God, you're a thru hiker. Wow, that's so brave. That's amazing. Wow. So they treat you like that, but then you get into town and then people start treating you differently. They treat you like a tourist. And we all know how people treat tourists. Give me your money. I want your money. So, and you can tell by these photos why they treat you like tourists, because you're acting like one. All right, here's another fun question, a little term that we may not know. What is yellow blazing? Raise your hand if you think yellow blazing is when a hiker takes a shortcut on side trails. All right. We got one lucky guesser. All right. Is yellow blazing when a hiker hitches a ride on a road instead of hiking? All right, got a few more there. All right, C, when a hiker is seen peeing on the side of the trail. All right, lots more people think that. All right, last one. When a hiker takes more risks than others. Kind of like the hazard sign. Hazard sign is yellow. Okay, all right, most guesses said C, but the correct answer is actually B. Yes, so, and the reason for that is because the yellow paint on the road, can I hitch a ride? That's why, that's yellow blazing. All right, here's another one. What's their trail name? If you think this fun guy here is named Poopsie Doodle, raise your hand. If you think his name is Bear Cheeks, raise your hand. If you think his name is Sneaky Peep, raise your hand. And if you think he is Checkered Lover, raise your hand. All right, his name is Bear Cheeks. And yeah, some people noticed it's actually written right there on his butt. Bear Cheeks. He was fun. He was actually not a thru hiker. He was a section hiker because he would not get away with wearing clothes like that the full trail. You would be... Yeah, that would not get away with that. All right, so you're in town, you got your food, you're getting along just fine here, but you've got to resupply. You need food for the next 4 to 5 days before you get into town again. Anybody who's anybody knows, don't go to the store hungry. This is where, how many of you remember what it's like to eat like a teenager? Or at least what you wanted to eat when you were a teenager. Junk food, fast food, you wanted to eat candy all the time. You just didn't care about nutrition because you were gonna live forever. Well, go be a thru hiker. Go be a thru hiker, you get to eat that way. Do you see that big package of Star Crunches in the back? I ate that entire box in 2 days. That package of cheese crackers on top of the Star Crunch, 2 days. Let's see what else. That big package of cheddar cheese, that was gone in 3 days. Package of summer sausage, that took me about 1 day. You really go through a lot of food. Now, you will see the bananas and oranges. Those don't go on the trail. That's because after a while, your body starts to tell you, you need vitamins. You are eating like crap and you are an adult. Stop eating like this. And so the bananas and oranges, as soon as you walk out the store, you shove those in your mouth because you really need those. Why don't those go in your pack? Because they're filled with water and they weigh too much. So the rest of the stuff, you're trying to get as much calorie-dense stuff as you can. It should have nuts and dehydrated fruit, but, well, sometimes you just make bad decisions. What can I say? Oh, yeah, and when you get to a hostel, oh, and I skipped a portion here. Over there on the right, you'll see all those little Heinz ketchup packets, but do you see how much those little packets cost? Yeah, this is where I would go back to that tourist thing I was talking about. There are hostels and outfitters. They know that they're the only ones who provide food in certain areas, and they take advantage of that. And so if you are a person who really loves ketchup, but this is the only place you can get it, they will charge you 60 cents for a tiny packet of ketchup. I did not buy any ketchup that time. I'm just showing you what I saw and I didn't like it. But I did, as I was going to show you, spend $10 on a Tony's pizza several times. Yes. And no, I don't like those that much, but I was that desperate for anything that wasn't ramen or dehydrated mashed potatoes or anything. Just food is complex. It's very difficult. Resupply boxes, that's another way you can get food. I would say it's not the most cost efficient, but if you have specific dietary needs, maybe you're diabetic or you're gluten-free and you just don't want to be restricted to shopping at Dollar General, Walmart, etc., then resupply boxes are an option. I only got 2 resupply boxes on my trip, and they were nice. It's nice to get a little love letter from your hubby back home, and it does make you happy. It makes you feel special when you get it. But it's not the most cost-efficient way because of shipping. Some people, though, are able to make it work. This is Jen Liepa. She is from Alaska. She and her husband, Twigs is his trail name, they are hunters, and they make stuff like salmon jerky, elk stew, moose chili, and they dehydrated an entire 6 months worth of these meals and shipped them all throughout the trail and survived on only that. So they ate very healthy, they ate very cheap, and I couldn't believe how well they had planned their trip. Most people do not do that. The rest of us were eating slop. That's Blaze eating a ramen bomb. If you don't know what a ramen bomb is, that is a ramen packet. You throw the seasoning packet away, most people do, because it's too much salt, and you mix that with dehydrated mashed potatoes. Yeah, I know. I'm getting some weird faces from people. So it's usually one of those things that you either love it or you hate it. It is not my food of choice, but Blaze is perfectly fine eating ramen bombs. All right, what is this young lady's trail name? If you think she is 2 beers, raise your hand. All right, raise your hand if you think she's Rainbow Toes. All right, raise your hand if she is Suds McGee. Raise your hand if she's Tie-Dye Goat. All right. The answer's 2 beers. She's holding 2 beers, people.
She's Rainbow Toes too.
Actually, Blaze named this girl near the beginning of our trip. And she didn't like it at first, but after a while, she accepted it. Daily chores. There's always this idea that if you go on a trip like this, you're on vacation and you can escape the monotony of daily chores like the loading the dishwasher and making the bed and doing laundry. No, it doesn't go away. Here's people loading their backpacks, and they'll have to unload them at the end of the day. You have to set up camp and take it down. Set up all your sleeping equipment. You have to hang bear lines, which is not fun. That's probably my least favorite thing in the world because there's black bears out there. You've got to make food. Over there on the left, I'm never going to forget this. That was a freezing cold day. We are actually making food next to the privy, which is where you do your business. And normally we would have not done that, but that was the only place to get out of the wind. So, and afterwards we had a dance party next to the privy. That was the privy dance party night. Trips like this are very tough on your gear. That is a sports cap I had for my water bottle, and Blaze broke it. I was very pissed at him, and I had to Leukotape it back together, and it lasted a month and a half. If you don't know what Leukotape is, it's very sticky, it's waterproof, and that's an attestament to how strong it is. I had tons of dead spots over there on the left in my quilt. I couldn't figure out why I was so cold at night. And I held my quilt up to the light, and sure enough, all the down had shifted to one side. So I spent 2 days trying to get the down fixed in my quilt. And then on the right side that is the crotch Leuko-taped in my pants. I couldn't take it anymore. Every time I'd sit down, somebody would say, "You know, you got a big hole in your pants, right?" Yes, I know, thank you. And that's what 2 months of straight 8 hours a day of walking will do to the insoles of your shoes. This kind of a trip will really change your perspective on what you buy and what you put on your shoulders. It really changes your perspective on what you own. Every single thing you add, the saying goes, every ounce counts. At first, it's just, oh, my tent, my sleeping bag, but then if I offer you a sticker, you're like, no, get that away from me. That's weight. Something like pesto. I wanted pesto, but I couldn't take the jar, so that's a picture of me sticking it in little Nalgene and shampoo bottles. And then, something as simple as a beer, Trail Magic. Oh, that'd be great. I want to have that at camp tonight. Oh, and then a mile down the trail, you're going, oh my God, why did I do that? Why didn't I just drink the beer when I was at the cooler? So you drink the beer. But then, what are you going to do with the bottle? You can't throw it away in the woods, so you stick it in the pack. A mile down the trail, you're sitting there going, oh God, why did I do that? I can't throw it away, so you stick the bottle, an empty bottle in there, and you, after a while, you're just going, you make these mistakes over and over and over again, until to a point when someone offers you something as simple as a Jolly Rancher. You want to take the Jolly Rancher. You know it's going to be good. You know that you're hungry, but inside, this is what you look like. You think I'm joking? This happens every day. People kept saying, Jamie, join the umbrella cult. It's wonderful. You don't have to wear a rain jacket anymore because you don't have to get soaked in the rain. The Appalachian Trail is very wet. And I kept saying, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not taking anything else into my pack. I'm done. No more, and I'm not joining all y'all in your stupid umbrella cult. Well, guess what happened? I joined the umbrella cult. And I'm not gonna lie, they were right. It feels wonderful not to have to wear rain jackets. Speaking of umbrella cult, what's this guy's trail name? Baruba, raise your hand. All right, Sun God. If you think it's Sun God, raise your hand. Nanaman? All right, Caterpillar, raise your hand. All right, I did know a guy named Nanaman, but it is not this guy. This guy is Sun God. Kills at karaoke, by the way, beautiful voice. Hostels, this is where you stay whenever you need to do your laundry, you need to take a shower and all that stuff. Also a great place to reunite with all the people that you've seen on the trail because you don't want to stand and talk when you're hiking because you got miles to cover. This is also where after you buy your food, you got to reorganize. That's Blaze and me in our loner clothes because we're doing laundry, acting goofy. Okay, this is a fun one. what is pink blazing? If you think pink blazing is when a hiker stops to quote unquote smell the flowers, take their time, raise your hand. Okay. If you think it's when a hiker does acts of kindness on the trail, raise your hand. And if you think it's when a hiker follows a female hiker down the trail in hopes of attracting her, yeah, it's when a hiker follows a female. But that brings us to the bonus question. What's it called when a female hiker tries to attract a male on the trail?
Blue blazing.
Everyone says blue blazing, but that's actually not true, and I'm not joking here, folks. It's called banana blazing. I'm not joking with you. It's banana blazing. Okay, I need to hurry this up because I'm running out of time. The dark side of all this, you're just suffering. It's cold there. That was a 5-degree wind chill day. I know I'm smiling, but on the inside, I'm hurting. I can't feel my toes. I can't feel my face. That was the first time I've ever had to actually snuggle with other humans to basically survive. And it was weird. It pushed my comfort zone a little too much. On the left side there, those are my friends laying on the road because that is the only way to actually get any heat. I know it doesn't look cold because it's sunny, but the road was the only thing that was actually warm. On the right, that is Blaze right before he walked outside and got hypothermia. Yeah. And another cute photo. I know I look happy, but on my legs, I'm hurting. Shin splints, they hurt. And so all this suffering, you'll walk down the trail and you see these places where you've got all these shoes hanging off the trees, and those are the shoes of people who have quit. And that you can't help but think whenever you're suffering like this, is this the day? Is this the last day I do this? And you just have to keep telling yourself, no, I'm done. I gotta keep going. Don't look at those shoes. All right, we're gonna skip this guy, but I'll tell you, it's Forest Wizard, Indiana Bones, Old Buzzard, or Gnome Daddy. He's Old Buzzard. All right, he carved that staff himself, and it is a buzzard. But nice guy. I hiked with him for a while. That's me right before I almost got hypothermia. And that's another trail friend I had. I don't want to rush through this, but we're getting to the part where we learn about Tramily, or your trail family. And I talk about how, all this stuff, this suffering bonds people. If you've ever been in a situation where if you've ever taken a hard class with somebody, or you've had a bad boss and that bonds your coworkers together, you understand that suffering bonds people, and that's exactly what this does. Blaze and I hiked to this tower at 3 a.m. in the Smokies. We'd heard about night hiking, and we chose probably the worst day of the entire year to do it. But look at what we got. We got to watch the sun rise over the Smokies from the tower. Yeah, we were freezing, but I'll never forget that day. I'll never forget it. And then we were so tired, we walked to the bottom of the tower, we waited for the wind to stop, and we actually fell asleep, just kind of leaning our heads against each other, because we just couldn't stay awake. That's a guy named Cuss Mustard, who had never met his birth mother before. We took him to his birth mother's house, where we got to see him meet her for the first time. It was a magical moment, and she comes out of the house. She didn't know he was coming, and she says, "Sweetie, you really should call before you bring friends over here." And he goes, "Oh, Mom." That's us hugging before Happy left us. And that's us on top of Siler Bald. It's a beautiful thing, and it really reminds you of why you're out there. It's not the scenery, it's not the miles, it's the people. So why did I quit? I got bored, and also my body was quitting on me. My foot was hurting too much. I had a trying to remember what it was. There's something wrong with a nerve in my foot, and the doctor told me the only thing that would work is I needed to go home and rest. I do have an obsession with hiking. All my friends will tell you that. And I really needed to get off the trail and relax. So on that note, I'm leaving on Friday to go on more hikes. I'm going to spend 4 days in Arkansas raising